Hi, welcome back to Future Fast. And once again, we are with Srikanth. And if you have missed the first part of the conversation, where he shares his journey of to the point of starting Bengaluru NavaNirmana party, please do catch up on that. Here on, we're going to talk more about what exactly is happening and what are his vision and perspectives, and also what he wants, what one can expect out of BNP is what's going to be talked about. So catch up in the first part if you have missed it to get to where we are today. With that, Srikanth, once again, welcome to Future Fast. And I thank you so much while you shared why you started BNP, which is really good. But I think like any other venture, I look at it, say I'm an entrepreneur and I tend to look at everything as a venture. So it's not easy to sustain uh, a- any social venture. This is more like a social venture, right? It is sustained by membership, perhaps contributions, donations. So maybe the first thing is that when you got started thinking about starting a party, you've been an entrepreneur yourself, you've been a professional, and particularly coming from an advisory services where you advise businesses on money management. So, how did you plan to manage a political party? What was your plan when you were thinking of starting it? Versus today, how do you see that is changing, or do you see the need to change the way you approached
When I started off just as a passion, Nanju.
it?
It
Right.
was a burning desire to bring about that change. And that's how any new venture starts off. Whether it's in the corporate world or I realize in the political world as well, there is a need or there is a gap that we find in the market or in the system. And that's how it started. I felt that local governance is a big gap or a big hole that needs to be filled up. And that's what I wanted to do. So starting up was purely out of that burning desire or that burning passion to bring about the change to our Bengaluru's grassroots governance. But then passion alone can't take us anywhere. Ultimately, we have to put a system in place for that as well. And I had to start working towards that. And ultimately, whatever philosophy that we want to work towards, whatever system I wanted to put in place, the one thing that matters the most is people. This is again true for any type of venture or any type of enterprise. It's people who define ultimately how good or how successful any venture becomes. So I started reaching out to people, and the very first step was absolutely about building up a good, strong, passionate, and committed team. So I started going around to different parts of the city, started meeting people, like minded people, people who've been active on the ground, working on civic issues. Those are the kind of people that I wanted to rope in. People who've been very actively working towards a better Bengaluru, working towards making things better on the ground. And when I started reaching out again, I started getting an overwhelming sense of support from everybody. Everybody loved the idea. Everybody believed that this is the right thing to do. And many of them believed that the time for such a party has come. Of course, most people did not want to get directly involved in it. Many people said, I will support you. But then there were quite a few who also said, this is a great initiative. I also want to be a part of it. So that's when an initial set of team members came. There are quite a few of them. Operationally in BNP, I can take a few names. There is Lalitamba, who you might know. There is Ungodai. There is a youngster called Rishi Raghavan, another youngster called as Vineet. There is Vishnu Reddy. There is Milind Kulapkar. There are a whole host of people. And this list now expands to, I would say, hundreds of people who are now part of the core team of BNP. And it extends to thousands of members that we have. And it extends to tens of thousands of supporters who we now have on WhatsApp groups. And all of this has been built up over the last 3 to 4 years. And there's
Are there
nothing like.
are there people who were part of it initially and for whatever reasons they have moved out? Because it does happen even in a venture. There are people who go out. People lost faith or lost interest or could not see this through for uh, reasons that, okay, it doesn't make sense?
There
I mean,
are
don't have to
lots of
name
people
them,
who
but
have
I'm just curious. Yeah.
there are lots of people who have moved out, not because they lost faith or they lost interest. I'll shortly come to why they moved out. I think when I say moved out, uh, let me also explain what I mean by moving out. One of the fundamental things that I realized is that uh, a political party is extremely difficult to run. I developed a lot of respect for all the mainstream parties that are out there. See, in a corporate world, what will you do? You will typically hire people, you will generate revenues and profits. With that, you will hire more people, you will generate more business, more revenues, more profits, and you will keep growing. A political party doesn't work that way. The backbone of any political party are the volunteers. You need to have people who come in as volunteers and who will support in all the activities and initiatives by getting on the ground and doing things. And this volunteering, to do it for a short period of time, is extremely easy. But to get a lot of people to do it over a long period of time is an extremely arduous task bordering on the impossible. That has been one of the biggest learning experiences. Initially, when I got in a lot of people, we start getting them to do a bunch of things. But then you realize that people start moving out because they can't sustain that energy, primarily because they are running a day job, or they're running let's say, a venture by themselves. They might be involved in other social life and so on and so forth. And consistently taking time out and doing this, it drains people out. So I realized that over a period of time, people started moving out of volunteering and said, hey, I'm there to support you, but I can't get involved in volunteering or getting involved in leadership positions. There are a few people, very, very rare occasions, where they have lost interest. And why that happened is because the elections have been continuously getting postponed and delayed. They just don't know when the election is going to come up. And in a political party, unlike in a corporate, every day, every week, you have some metrics that you can work on. You say, okay, today we generated so much of business, or today we converted so many customers, we signed so many contracts, so on and so forth. What do you measure a political party on? The only thing that matters ultimately is how many votes you are going to win in an election. And when the election itself is not coming, you don't have any way to benchmark whether you're going to get those votes or not. Thankfully, those people are very few and far between. Bulk of the people, bulk of the volunteers, or bulk of the leaders, the problem has been more of spending time consistently. It burns them out. So that's where I've been trying to build a system where over a period of time, I started hiring full-time employees into BNP. As leaders, I said, you come in here full-time. You spend the whole of your time trying to figure out how to engage in activities, how to do more and more work, and how to reach out to more and more people. They in turn engage with volunteers. And volunteers, what we are telling them is, don't come and burn yourself out. If you're in a day job, if you're not able to spend too much of time, try to see how best you can spend half an hour to 1 hour of your time every week. That's all. When we ask people, can you spend half an hour to 1 hour on a weekly basis? They say, that's something that I can do. So today, BNP is getting built up as an organization and as a system where we have a bunch of leaders who are full-time in BNP. Then there are a bunch of leaders who support these leaders who can spend a few hours every week. And hence they are able to spend a little bit more time along with these leaders. And then you have a whole host of volunteers and what we call as area sabha members who are able to spend about half an hour, 1 hour on a weekly basis, through which they are able to consistently do things. And
How are
today
you
we
able
are
to
present in,
compensate them if you take them as a full-time employee?
so BNP, I'm building it up as a professional organization. Month on month, we raise funds. And all of these funds are crowdsourced. Every single rupee that we get we get it either online or only through a check. No cash donations are accepted. All of that is properly accounted for. It's all audited, and all that is put out on our public domain. You go to the website of Bengaluru NavaNirmana Party, nammabnp.org. You will find all our accounts for the previous years, audited and publicly displayed. But when we do that, it encourages and incentivizes more and more people to contribute to BNP also. So all of this has been crowdsourced, and through that I'm able to hire more people. Today I have a full-time team of almost about 8 people, and that's how we are able to sustain it. Otherwise we can't. A pure volunteering effort is extremely difficult to sustain. So I built a layer of full-time employees. Then I built a layer of leaders who can support these full-time employees as leaders by spending about 5 to 10 hours every week. And then they in turn are supported by a base of volunteers who can spend about half an hour to 1 hour every week.
How many?
Through that, we are able to build it.
How many wards are you able to look at as a prospective, as and when, we don't know still when the elections will ever come about in Bangalore, but whenever it happens, how many wards do you think we could see a BNP candidate as of today?
As such, we have built up our presence through this structure in almost about 30 to 40 wards out of the 225 wards. Over the next few weeks to few months, I want to get it up to at least about 50 to 75 wards where we have this kind of a good presence with a good team. And I have just started off on what is called as BNP Mission 25. So when the BBMP election comes up, which is expected or slated for later part of this year, I want to target winning about 25 wards out of the 225 wards. It's a tall order. It's an ambitious task. If you're able to do that, it will be a great achievement. But that's what I want to go after. We've already built a strong presence in a few wards. We now have the template with which we are able to continue to build that up, which is what I want to do. And through that, I want to ensure that we have strong teams in at least about 40 to 50 wards. I want to contest in at least 50 to 75 wards. Our candidates to contest in about 50 to 75 wards. And out of these, win about 25. Now, there are other 150 odd wards where we don't have a presence or we are not going to be even looking at doing anything right now. I'm fine with that. We are a fledgling party. We don't have the bandwidth and the resources like all these big parties. If we spread ourselves thin going across all parts of Bangalore, we'll be shooting ourselves in the foot. So that's where
when do you think we can expect to see Mayor Srikanth?
My target is by 2029. By the time the next BBMP election comes in 2029, I will ensure that that election happens in 2029. If this election happens in 2024, I want to sort of have at least 150 BNP corporators out of 225 in the BBMP council. And through that, yes, I want to become the mayor of the city, and I do want grassroots change to be brought about through that. But that's a long-term plan.
And would you be open to the people who are corporators with other parties, right, representing other parties, or even as individuals but aligned to other parties? If they choose to come to BNP, would you be open to them?
I will put only 3 conditions. I call it IPC. I welcome anybody who's interested to come into BNP, but provided they fulfill the IPC condition. Integrity, passion, competence. If you do not have integrity, you have no role to play in BNP.
How do you propose to measure it if nobody comes forward
we can't measure it. So integrity is something that we can't determine upfront. But I'm trying to put a system in place where in any ward, we have lots of people. And I want these people to engage with whoever is coming in, see how they are working. And ultimately, even the decision to who's going to contest as a corporator from a ward, it will not be me. I want the people of that ward to decide who's going to contest as the corporator.
But
so for example,
how do you ensure? See, now there are people, BNP is very clear that there is no agenda beyond Bengaluru for BNP. But the people are always politically inclined, and particularly those who are into a political party are rather more likely to be politically inclined beyond Bengaluru, right? It's a human psyche.
But Nanju, actually, it's a very simple thing. Many of them, in fact, I have not got too many calls from other parties. Many of them don't want to come into BNP. You know why?
No. Yeah, why?
Interesting. I don't have political ambitions. My party charter mandates that we can contest only in the municipal elections in Bengaluru. Now, for many of these people who do not have the right intent or who have this nefarious intent, BNP is not a stepping stone for them to fulfill their ambitions. The big money they can make only if they become MLAs and MPs. Corporate is only a stepping stone, right? So this party, moment I say we will not contest in the MP or MLA elections, there are quite a few of them who say that, oh, I don't want to be involved now.
No, but we also see there are quite a few corporators very strongly aligned to their bosses in the political parties as MLAs. They don't see any more future for them because those MLA children are also coming as MLA candidates.
Possible. That's possible. They might come in here, but that's where I want to put in a filter at the ward level. See, if there is a corrupt guy in your ward, not just you, let's say there are 100 of you who are there, you will start getting a whiff of it, right?
Correct.
So and, I'm ultimately leaving it to the people.
Right. See, how do you make sure within your party, how do you make sure people who have political leanings beyond Bengaluru, right, at a state or for Lok Sabha elections and all that, there will be obviously people in the politics means they need to be a lot more passionate about politics than otherwise. So they will be. So you need to have such people around. And at the same time, how do you contain or restrain them not to get carried away with their other political alignments because they have to work here as a unit while disagreeing?
It's a very simple philosophy, Nanju. I welcome people with political ambitions. There are people who come and state that ultimately I want to potentially become an MLA or even an MP.
So there are.
By all means, there are people who have said that.
Okay. And what is their way forward if they come to BNP?
I will come to that. Interestingly, in this country, many of the leaders, political leaders that we have seen during our freedom struggle days, right? And ultimately the first government that got formed with people like Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose as well, from whatever I understand, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, all of them started their political career at the municipal level. So what I tell people is, come into BNP, first get yourself involved in municipal governance. Develop a good understanding of how the city works, how municipal government works, and show that you are able to work. Show that you are able to get involved in the system. And after that, if you have a political ambition, what I tell people is, if you have built your base, I'm happy for you to contest as an MLA or an MP with any other political party. BJP, Congress, JDS, AAP, or any other party, or you want to contest as an independent, feel free to do that. Just that you can't do it under the aegis of BNP. But with this platform that we have laid out for you, if you have done a good job here, you will probably be in demand in other parties, for you to contest there as a MLA or MP. I have no problems with that at all. As far as BNP is concerned, we will restrict you to contest only as a corporate.
No friends of yours have ever spoken to you about Srikanth, possibly like a Bloomberg. I mean, Bloomberg, of course, didn't become a president, but he did make an attempt. So from mayor to become the president, right? So, so is there such an aspiration? I mean, nothing wrong about it, but do you have one?
I don't even think about those things, Nanju. Think of it.
I may not be the first person to ask you, right? I'm sure many must have asked you this.
No, actually, not too many people ask me about it. But, for example, if I want to become the prime minister of this country, there's nothing that's stopping me. And only thing is, I can't do it through BNP.
No, correct.
I want to do it as an independent. I want to do it through BNP or Congress.
Become a mayor of Bengaluru, and that could well be the stepping stone because that becomes the biggest visibility as well, right?
It will not be through BNP.
It
can be through any other platform. But as far as I as an individual am concerned, I didn't know that I'm going to become a politician 5 years back. 5 years down the line, what's going to happen? I don't know. But the next 10 years of my life, I want to dedicate only for Bengaluru and Bengaluru city. Beyond that, if there's a future that takes me beyond, I don't even want to think about it now. I don't want to say that it's ruled out, because I really don't know what's going to happen. All that I can say right now is that I want to focus only on Bengaluru and its municipal governance for the foreseeable future. See, when I started BAF, I didn't know that I was going to start BNP. But at the time that I decided that I'm going to start BNP, the one thing that I made very clear to BAF is that I should not continue in my capacity of General Secretary in BAF. So I had the guts to say that I'm stepping down from BAF.
Why?
And
because BAF was anyway a voluntary organization. It was not a commercial organization. You could have well been part of it, right? Why do you? Was that?
I didn't want BAF. I didn't want BAF to be tinged with a political color, and I wanted others to step up. And today, others have stepped up. You have interacted with Nagaraj Rao, Vikram Rai, Vishnu, Satish Malya, and so on and so forth. I had built up a great team there. I'm extremely proud of that. BAF, I built up as an organization that was not dependent on Srikanth Narasimhan. There was a point of time when people were saying, BAF is Srikanth, Srikanth is BAF. But I said, no, I'm building up an organization. Now, why should BAF be dependent on Srikanth? I've shown that BAF can continue without Srikanth, and I would like to take full credit for that, where I put systems and processes. I got them trained, and I got them to a level where they are taking the organization forward. Why should a Srikanth continue there? Tomorrow, if Srikanth harbors prime ministerial or presidential or chief ministerial aspirations, let him start another political party or let him join some other political party and do it. Let BNP remain focused only on municipal governance.
Fair.
Just like BAF is completely focused on representing apartment complexes in Bengaluru, BNP should always be focused on municipal governance in Bengaluru.
Do you no matter what Srikanth wants to do. Do you see BNP aligning to any other political party for the benefit of forming, winning within Bengaluru itself?
No, BNP is not aligned to any political party. BNP is aligned to every political party. The simple concept is, let's say there are people ask me, oh, you have a few corporators in the council, and tomorrow will you support BJP or Congress? I said, I'll support neither, I'll support both. What do you mean by that? So, for example, mayoral elections. Let's say we don't have the strength to elect a mayor of our own. Simple, I will
25 say 25 votes can be a decider.
Correct, it can be a decider. So what I will say is that you put up a good candidate. If BJP puts up a good candidate, and I feel that that's a good candidate, I will ask all 25 of our people to support the BJP candidate. Or if Congress has put up a good candidate, I will say, please support that Congress candidate. Now, if none of the parties have put out a good candidate, I will say we'll abstain from voting. Now, I want to put pressure on each of these parties to put up a good candidate. We say that if you want our 25 votes, you put up a good candidate. And let's say we have supported that candidate. Tomorrow, let's say that person gets elected as a mayor, and that person puts up something bad as a policy. What will we do? I will ask our 25 people to vote against that bad policy. Just because we have provided our support to get that person elected as mayor, we will not blindly support that person on everything. So for me, it will always be issue-based support. You do good things, and I will tell our corporator candidates, support those good points. If somebody puts up bad things, oppose that. To me, it's a very simple principle. We have three options. We can support, we can abstain, we can oppose.
Right.
So depending on what is being put out, we'll do that. Now, people are taking a very clear stance. It is taking an absolutely clear stance. I don't want to give a complete alignment to somebody. I will never ever give a carte blanche to anybody. I will say, guys, I'm supporting you, provided you do good things. The moment you do bad things, I will oppose you. And I'm happy to put this out. I've been a supporter of Aam Aadmi Party. I have donated lakhs and lakhs of rupees to Aam Aadmi Party because when they started off, I felt that they were a good party. But over a period of time, when I saw some things that were happening, which I was not, let's say, agreeing with, or I was not accepting of, I told them point blank, you will not get my support if you do these things. You come back on track. Now they've gone, they are part of the India Alliance and all of that. I say, you don't have my support. That's not what I provided my support for. If you want to continue to do good things in Delhi, and you tell me that that's what you want my money for or you want my support for, you will have that support. But if you're going to do other things, you don't have my support. And my principle, my philosophy will remain the same even if I get in there. So to me, it's a very simple philosophy, Nanju. I will not support BJP or a Congress or an AAP blindly. In the same way, it's not like I hate a BJP or I hate a Congress or I hate a AAP blindly. For me, it's a very simple thing. People have come back and told me, hey, you should ensure that BJP is kept out or Congress is kept out and so on. I said, I don't want to keep out anybody, right? That's not in my hand. That's in people's hands. People are well within their rights, and our people are very smart to decide who is to be kept in, who is to be kept out. Let them decide that. Once they are
Fair
in,
enough.
the way I will support or I'll oppose is based on what they do or what they are not doing. Let's keep our focus on that.
Srikanth, wearing your financial advisory hat, what, and also last few years of running the party, what in your sense is the economics of winning a councillor or a corporator in a ward? What would it take? What kind of money would it take that you think is necessary, and you actually tell your candidate or who aspires to come in to plan for that kind of money? What is that?
Let me pose a counter
Or
question
is
to you.
that a same number for every ward, or do you see the number varies? And if you think it varies, what would be the factors that impact?
Let me ask you a counter question. Do you know how many votes are required to win a ward?
I don't know. That's where probably you start. Okay.
That's where we need to start. On an average, we'll probably need about 7,000 votes to win a ward.
So total voting base is how many then? About less than
20,000? It's less than 35,000 in each
35,000. And 7,000 is sufficient to win? Oh, okay. Assuming that
absolutely
50% don't participate.
Right?
Okay.
Even if you assume, let's assume that 60% of the people come out and vote.
Okay.
That's about, let's say, 21,000 people come out and vote. In a three-way contest, you get 1/3 of the votes very likely to win.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So what does it take to get that 7,000 votes?
I don't know what it takes, but I will put it this way. Today, in quite a few wards, I don't have to spend a single rupee of money to get 2,000, 3,000 votes. In some of the wards, for example, let's say in your ward, if I were or one of the BNP corporator candidates were to contest, would you need me to give you any money? You definitely don't need me to give you any money. No,
it's not about giving money to the voter. Okay, that is one part of it, where you have to buy votes if that is. But
no, I know where you're coming to. I'll shortly come to it.
Campaign and effort.
I will come to it. I will come to it. I'll come to it. So first thing what I'm saying is, the reason why today there is a lot of money flowing in politics is you will need to pay about anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 rupees per vote to do a lot of nonsense.
For a corporator councillor, or are you saying MLA, assembly? Or
I think possibly at all levels. But more importantly, I think it's more at I don't think it's the same number. MP elections are more based on the larger level campaign that happens. But it's more pronounced at the corporate level. Let's assume that it's 10,000 rupees.
Per vote.
Right? Per vote.
Okay.
Right? 10,000 rupees. And they will want to woo at least about 10,000 people with these freebies. Right? And that's 10 crores of rupees. 10,000 rupees into 10,000 people is 10 crores. Typically, what we have heard is that
fair to expect that this is how a larger political party would identify a candidate. If you have a spend capacity of 10 crores, then ticket is yours?
Absolutely.
Okay.
In fact, they ask them to deposit the money and ask them to spend that money in the campaign also. Part of from whatever you understood, the guy has to give first some money to the party to contest. When I say party, predominantly probably
10 crore.
That is outside. They'll probably give money first to the person that they report in the party, in the ecosystem.
If you look at it as an investment from a sense of business, if people are coming there to make money, and if they are investing, let's assume say 20% goes as a party fund or a fee, right? So 10 crore to be spent to win. So 12 crores, if they invest, how much do you think they can make? I mean, what is the perception they think?
That's what I'm saying. That's the whole equation. They end up spending probably 20, 30, 40 crores during elections.
A councillor election?
I would think so. From whatever I've heard, even during the councillor elections, if not 30, 40 crores, at least 10, 15 crores gets spent.
And how much do they actually aspire, possible to make?
You do the math. I have no idea. See, I'm as new to the system as you are. I don't know how these things work.
No,
but I would presume that...
From your understanding, yeah.
No, I don't know, Nanju. I have no idea at all. I have no interest in getting to know also. Right? But I would think that if somebody has put in 10, 15 crores, the guy would want to recoup at least 40, 50 crores out of it. And some part of it he will want to reserve for the next elections also. Right? And that's where all these corruption, and each ward typically gets anywhere from 100 to 200 crores over a 5-year period. And let's say if 150 crores comes, that's where he makes that 30, 40 crores out of that.
Wow. Okay.
Right? So anyway, these are all the things that go on. Coming back, what I'm saying is, I'm targeting the population of voters of the 20-25,000 who will not be interested in any of these freebies or the bribes and the cash that gets thrown out. So that's straight away ruled out. In terms of running a campaign, again, think of it, Nanju, 7,000 votes. Let's say, the way I look at it is...
To get 7,000, you still have to look at reaching at least 15,000 people, right? Voters.
Correct. So the way I do the math is, if I have 100 volunteers in my ward, and I give a target of getting 100 votes to each of these 100 volunteers. Yeah. Look at this math. Each volunteer has to get me 100 votes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what that number is?
Yeah. 10,000.
10,000. That's the math that I'm working on. Now, my job right now is I'm identifying our volunteers. There are wards where we have more than 100 volunteers already, Nanju, and volunteers all not from the same place. I have people who have committed to getting these votes. We have a great connect in the apartment communities, for example, but not just in apartments, in layouts. And when I ask people, hey, can you focus on trying to get about 100 votes from your community? They said that's very possible. Now, if I have 100 committed volunteers who are willing to run a campaign where they reach out to 100 people each in their respective areas, I actually don't need a single rupee of money to win 7,000 votes. It's probably stretching it to the limits. I won't put it so easily. So for me, the core is building up the volunteer network. Once you build the volunteer network, I would expect to spend about 2.5 to 5 lakhs per ward through social media, through pamphlets, through engaging. I've created a game plan in each ward saying these are all the things that you need to spend on. I don't want to go and put up hoardings or front paper ads in Times of India or newspaper TV advertisements that runs into crores and crores of rupees. That is all for the MP and MLA elections. To win the ward elections, we can run the local campaign, spend a few lakhs of rupees, get those 100 volunteers, run localized campaigns, very winnable. And getting, let's say, 2.5, 5 lakh rupees in the ward. Again, the math is if you have, let's say, 500 people contributing about 1,000 rupees each, that's 5 lakhs. So when you break it down at the localized level, it's not very complicated. But implementing that is not easy. That's where I'm feeling the challenges right now. So that's why I don't want to go all across the city. I know that doing this even in 20, 30 wards is taking the juice out of us. But that's how we want to do it, right? So first election, at least, build up in these wards. Well, there are some wards where we have some 250 volunteers also.
So right now, is it fair to say that you already have nearly 50 prospective councillor candidates identified for about 50, and you're looking at another 25?
Yeah, we have quite a few people who are interested in contesting. Where they will contest from, that will depend on reservation. So that we are leaving it open for now. But we know broadly the pool of people who are looking to contest.
And among them, you're confident of about 25, perhaps, obviously including yourself.
Yes. Right now, I won't say I'm confident of 25. I'm setting a target of 25. I'm confident of 5 to 10 for sure. over the next few months, depending on how hard we are able to run a few things, which I think is definitely possible. It needs a lot of hard work, but my target is 25.
Right. And who are the competition from your perspective? End of the day, it's a race, it's a competition. Who are the competition for you?
BJP and Congress predominantly.
And you don't see AAP or I think there's another regional party, right? Where Ravi Krishna
AAP
Reddy.
and the regional parties are non-entities.
Okay.
I will put out a bold statement. Even if I don't win the wards, right? The number of votes that we will receive in the wards that we contest in will be far, far more than what an AAP can win or any of the other regional parties can win. In fact, in the wards that I'm going to contest, I'll be better than JDS also.
Okay. So you see,
if at all, I'm very confident that in the wards that we'll be contesting, we'll be third. If you don't win. That's a very powerful statement to make, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Because many of the things, right, it's not even visible to you on what we are doing. As it stands, in at least 10 to 15 wards, I'm confident of winning a few thousand votes in those wards. And a few thousand votes, AAP actually won a few thousand votes at the assembly constituency level, which means at a ward level, they were winning a few hundred votes.
Well, Srikanth, just one other question. If you find somebody coming forward and saying, you know what, I'm willing to support you, I'll fund money if you want to buy votes.
I will not. Today, there are lots of people who are funding us. They're not even asking any questions. I've said, I'm happy to receive money from anybody, but that money cannot come with any bells and whistles attached. There is only one condition that you can impose upon us, and that I will accept. And that one condition is that this money and the work that we are doing will go towards making Bengaluru better. You impose that condition, I'm happy to take as much of money as you want to give. If you impose any additional condition, I don't want your money. Even if you want to give me 10 crores, 20 crores, 50 crores, doesn't matter to me.
What if you hear any of your councillor candidates are actually giving money or some other promises beyond what BNP has proposed to ensure their victory?
Yeah, they will first of all, obviously inquiry will be immediately initiated. I obviously don't want to assume that it's guilty until it's, before it's proven. But I would want to take it seriously. Internally, a quick inquiry will be done. And if there is, and here again, I would want to involve the citizens of the ward to determine how much of merit there is in it or not. If there is merit in it, and if it is proven, that person will be publicly named and shamed. Of course, will be disqualified from the party immediately. Even if that person has already become a corporator also. Not just about winning the election. Post winning the election, you start accepting bribes and all of that. Publicly named and shamed, and disowned, disqualified. And I would like to leave that. And I'm making this in a public domain, right? You are going to put this out. And I want the volunteers that we are building in the ward. I would say they're all going to be my, let's say, leaders there. You decide. You all come together and say that, yes, this person is guilty or not guilty. Then if that person is found to be guilty, please publicly name and shame. And you give your recommendation, that person will be dismissed from the party, disqualified, and will publicly make it open to everybody in the city that this person is indulging in practices that are not correct at all. And I'm hoping that fear of that public naming and shaming will prevent them from doing that.
Fair enough.
And that's where I want the volunteers, the people that are going to be part of this, not just to be supporting us during the election time or voting. Please be involved subsequently also. Please keep an eye.
And democracy, want to give a shout out?
Just 1 minute. Democracy is not just about voting during the election. After that, also hold the people that you have elected accountable. Don't give them complete freedom. Don't completely blindly trust them. One of the things that I openly say this, and I'm saying this openly in your platform or in any other platform, please don't blindly trust me either. Don't blindly support me for everything that I do. If I do good things, please support me. If I do bad things, please oppose me accordingly. Right? And if there is something, and of course there's a process. If there is something that you feel you should bring it up to me, first please bring it up to me. If you feel that I'm not getting corrected, then you take it in the public domain after that. But please don't put up with nonsense. If you blindly support me, I will go the way of the other leaders. I might become corrupt. I might become power hungry. I might start doing nonsensical things. Why? Because I become drunk on power that no matter what I do, there is a big chamcha crowd that will keep supporting whatever I do. Don't do that, right? By holding the leaders accountable, you're actually making them better and not making them worse. That's all that I would say, Nanju.
Well, I had one last question, last thing.
Yeah, I need to drop off. So I pushed this call to a 12:30 call to 12:45. I have to really get off now, Nanju.
Correct. Do you want to give a shout out to people for support, volunteer, or even fund?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nanju, for allowing me to do that on your platform. With your permission, let me put out a message to all the Bengalurigas, what we call as Bengalurigas, the Bengaluru citizens. This is a party of, by, and for the citizens of Bengaluru, meant only for Bengaluru's municipal governance. This is as much your party as much as it is my party. ನಮ್ಮ ನಗರವನ್ನು ಬದಲಾಯಿಸೋದು ನಮ್ಮ ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿ. To bring about change at the grassroots level, it's each of our responsibility. That doesn't mean that you have to quit your job. That doesn't mean that you have to spend hours and hours every day. If you are in a position to spend even half an hour to 1 hour every week, please reach out to me. Please reach out to BNP on our website. Please join the citizens movement. Please join our area Sabha teams. You can contribute in whichever way you want. Sitting at your home, getting out, contributing financially, volunteering, spreading the message. There are a whole host of ways by which you can get involved. Please come and join this movement. Together, let's rebuild Bengaluru. Together, let's make Bengaluru the best city in the world over a period of time. Together, let's bring Nadaprabhu Kempegowda's dream back to reality. Thank you.
Wonderful. Srikanth, I wish you all the very best for you and the BNP and the BNP team. And for the audience and listeners, you heard, if you regard this as I'm endorsing it, I'd be happy to be identified with. So please do look it up. Be your own judge. Find your right candidate for your constituency. And if you think they're best representing BNP, please refer them as well here. And if you think you are the person you want to be doing it, please reach out to Srikanth and BNP. The links are right below. And also the channel of Srikanth is also there. He puts up a lot of videos, so do follow that. And also BNP channel's links are also there. Do look up and do follow that and share it across, because politics just doesn't happen by watching one way, right? It is a participative effort, and we bear the brunt of it. So if it has to be good, you might as well be part of making it good. So because of that, join hands and support this initiative. Do share this across, and do come back. We'll try and get Srikanth soon to talk about his perspective on the future of politics, party, democracy, and such. That would be 60,000 and above feet, but it's the conversation that we really want to bring in and get you to listen to. So till we meet again, enjoy the ride. Srikanth, once again, thank you so much for being part of it.
Thank you so much for having me on this podcast. Thank you, Nanju.